So, we are now 1 week removed from the release of Captain America Brave New World, aka Captain America 4, and now we have, well, 4 Captain America movies. So that means it's time to rank stuff. We're gonna rank the 4 Captain America movies from worst to best, and yeah, this won't be controversial at all. Nobody has opinions on these Marvel movies, right? Everybody agrees with the rankings of how these movies usually play out, right? Before I get into it, please make sure to like this video, subscribe, turn on notifications. I post every single day, so please come join me for some more. Eventually, I'll be making a big ranking video of the whole MCU later in the year after we get more projects to rank. So let's jump right into it. At number 4 is Captain America, well, Brave New World. Yeah, the new one. This stunk. This really stunk. This is a stinky movie. I know there's some people that have enjoyed it out there. The audience rating on this is a lot higher than I expected it to be on Rotten Tomatoes. I think it's because people are just, I mean, they're so used to having horrible comic book movies that anytime they get something that I guess is a little bit better than horrible, they're just like, oh my god, masterpiece. I mean, we've lowered our standards as a society to comic book movies so far that, like, literally even the crappiest stuff gets by as decent nowadays. But this is a bad movie. It's a movie that's clearly like a Frankenstein's monster of a movie, meaning that it's been reshot, recut, re-edited, re-everything to death. I mean, whatever this movie was intended and supposed to be at that original scripting phase when they had that final script and they began shooting is clearly not what the movie is now. This is a completely different movie that has so many different things shoehorned in through reshoots. For example, Giancarlo Esposito's character, who's clearly just not supposed to be there. You have a movie about Captain America that's not really about Captain America at all. I mean, Anthony Mackie, who is a great actor and a great starring man, gets nothing to work with here. His character, Sam Wilson, I mean, is not the center point of this movie. He has no character arc. He has no real story that connects with him personally. This is an Incredible Hulk sequel without the Incredible Hulk. It is a Red Hulk movie without any character that really interacts well with the Red Hulk. You have Thunderbolt Ross, played by an actor, aka Harrison Ford, who hasn't played Thunderbolt Ross in the other 8,000 movies of the MCU. You have a story that just completely falls flat. There's so many different plot holes. You have a bunch of garbage CGI. This movie's just kind of a waste, and it's forgettable, and it's sad, because I would love to see a really good Captain America movie with Anthony Mackie. I think there is one out there somewhere. Maybe on the cutting room floor, maybe in a few years when they do Captain America 5, because this thing is actually making money somehow. Because the Captain America brand still has some firepower, because yeah, this thing's already at like $250 million in like the first week. That's shocking to me. But easily number 4, worst Captain America movie, Brave New World. Coming in at number 3 is The First Avenger, and I gotta say there's a pretty sizable gap between 4 and this one. The First Avenger is one of the original MCU movies, Phase 1, the introduction of Chris Evans as Captain America. It is a period piece taking place during World War II and gives us the origin story of Captain America, something that we had never really seen on the big screen. And yeah, this movie is just fine. It's nothing really incredible, but on a rewatch, I actually enjoyed this thing a lot more than I actually remembered liking it. Chris Evans is, of course, incredible as Steve Rogers. He's super charismatic, he's lovable, he's innocent, he gives that kind of Superman vibe where he's just kind of like this perfect, nice dude who's got like these awkward qualities to him, but he's just so enjoyable to watch. He has some good fight scenes. You have a great villain, the Red Skull, who I wish would come back again. Hugo Weaving, so good here. Get the introductions of Peggy Carter, the introductions of course, Bucky Barnes, played by Sebastian Stan. Some good music, some good setup to the larger MCU. Of course, you get the Tesseract. Like, there's some really good stuff here. This is when the MCU, even at their worst, which this at one point was considered one of their worst movies, was still able to deliver a satisfying film that kind of connected to the bigger idea of Marvel, right? The bigger idea of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? Setting up the Tesseract, setting up, the ending of this movie, the Avengers. There's a lot of good stuff here. I'm a big fan of The First Avenger. Really like this movie. Does not get enough appreciation. And number 2 is Captain America Civil War, or as I like to call it, Avengers Civil War, because this is an Avengers movie, right? Now, they put the Captain America label on this film because I guess it was originally just supposed to be a regular Captain America film, but then Zack Snyder said, hey, we're making Batman v Superman in 2016. So Kevin Feige said, no. That cannot be. We cannot have DC clogging up the airways with their Civil War type storytelling. No, we're going to do our own. We're going to do Civil War, but a lot smaller than Civil War was intended to be. And although I wish that they kind of saved Civil War for a future large-scale Avengers movie where you could use literally like 100 different characters like the comic book intended, this is still a really great movie. The downscale Civil War storyline. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of good stuff here. Of course, the dynamic between Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man and Captain America, is so good here. And I think the actual story that puts them at odds and the big sort of wind up to that crescendo fight at the end is all done exceptional. It works. That center conflict in this movie works, and it's well written, and all the actors bring their A game, and it's super satisfying. I think seeing all of these characters come into play and team up and fight each other also works. Like, everybody gets a little bit of a moment to shine. Black Widow, Black Panther getting introduced for the first time. Of course, Spider-Man, Tom Holland's Spider-Man getting into the fold for the first time. Even Ant-Man has some moments. Falcon, Bucky, everybody gets like something in this film to do where they don't feel like they're just thrown in. Scarlet Witch has an arc, Vision has an arc, and all of these arcs bleed into the next films that come from the MCU and Infinity War and Endgame, which is really brilliantly done. This is when Marvel, they knew how to write stuff. They knew how to weave stories. They knew how to weave things into each other, and everything felt connected, but you still felt satisfied. It didn't feel like a giant setup movie. This movie has, in my opinion, the best villain the MCU has ever put out in Baron Zemo. I mean, this guy is so incredible. He's a villain who's just a dude. He's just a guy who's grieving, and he's upset, and he said, I'm gonna play some chess, and I'm gonna blow up the Avengers. That's what I'm gonna do, and guess what? He kinda does it. He's a villain that wins, and I like those kinds of villains. I like the villains that find a way to actually win in the end, and you have that moment of, oh crap. And he's one of those villains. He's also a villain that you can almost feel justification for. You're like, yeah, what he did is kind of justified. Just all really well done. This is a really good movie. Although it is an Avengers movie, it's really not a Captain America movie because you follow really the perspectives of both Chris Evans and Iron Man. So at the very least, it's also an Iron Man movie. Although that is all true, it's still, because it's called Captain America, included in this list, and it is a phenomenal 5 out of 5 movie, one of the best the MCU has ever produced, but not the best, because at number 1 is Captain America the Winter Soldier, arguably the best movie in the MCU's history. I'll never forget seeing this movie in 2014 and being absolutely floored. This was the first time I had watched an MCU movie where I realized that they could actually put together some masterful, high cinema type stuff. This is an unbelievable espionage thriller. Whereas the first Captain America movie was very much a war movie, this is a spy James Bond movie, starring Chris Evans and Scarlett Johansson, and of course Anthony Mackie as Falcon. You also have Sam Jackson, with I believe his best performance as Nick Fury. You get this crazy story about S.H.I.E.L.D. and how it's been infected and infested by this Hydra group, right? This Hydra group that connects to the first Avenger movie that has been secretly and covertly taken over S.H.I.E.L.D. all of these years, and now they're revealing themselves, and Chris Evans is on the run, and Sam Jackson is maybe dead, but obviously not dead. And you have, of course, the Winter Soldier, Bucky Barnes coming, and there's a whole story that connects there, and there's so much conflict, and the third act of this film is crazy and violent, and the main villain here is really, really well written, and there's just so much good stuff here. This movie never lets up. It is all gas, no brakes. Like, this movie is so fast-paced. There's always something interesting going on screen. This movie is what Brave New World wished it could be. Clearly, with Brave New World, they were trying to, like, take from this film and reminisce on how good this movie is, but they just failed. This movie has so many good things. I mean, the elevator fight scene. Oh, God, the elevator fight scene. It's so good. I'll never forget that amazing shot of Cap throwing the shield at Bucky, and he turns around and catches it. Like, that shit was so cool, man. Winter Soldier's amazing. It proved that the Russos actually could make good movies, and it's pretty much the main reason why the Russos are still getting to make Avengers movies today, despite the fact that every time they leave Marvel, they make nothing but poop. But this is a damn good movie. It's, in my opinion, the second or third best movie in the MCU, behind maybe Infinity War and Guardians of the Galaxy. But it's a masterpiece, and it's easily the best Captain America movie. We've got it for now, because who knows? Maybe Captain America 5 will be amazing. I have my doubts. Thank you guys for watching. What are your favorite Captain America movies? Let me know down below. Make sure to like this video, subscribe for more, turn notifications. I'll see you in the next one.